Hello,
Hello.
we are Emilian,
And Silviana.
the founders of Feel and Grow Rich project and the authors of the upcoming book called Feel and Grow Rich.
It is a great honor to introduce you to
Anita Petty,
founder and president of Leading Age Ventures, author of the book Money Switch, Flip Yourself onto Happiness, Health, and Wealth.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about your background for our audience?
So absolutely. First off, thank you so much for having me on your program. It's quite an honor to be here. But to give your audience a little bit about who I am, as you said, my name is Anita Petty. I'm an American author and speaker, and I grew up in the American Southwest in the state of Arizona. So if you know where California is, we're a little bit to the east of that. And I grew up as a poor kid that had dreams of doing things in life. And so I got good grades. And so I eventually was admitted into the United States Naval Academy in the late 80s. And I became a naval officer, and things went off from there. I did a lot of things in the Navy, both in and outside the Navy. But since the Navy, I've done things in the corporate world. I've been an entrepreneur. I spent time in the stock market doing my own investments and trading, and most recently cryptocurrencies. Early on, I realized that I told myself I didn't want to be poor for the rest of my life. I had enough of that as a child. So I did a lot of things in real estate, and then I had a company, I sold a company, lots and lots of different things. One of my achievements that's not related to business was in 2014, I climbed Kilimanjaro just prior to turning 50, and I had some health issues. So that was quite a challenge for me. But that kind of gives you a flavor of who I am. And I've always had a book in me, and I wanted to write about all of those things and all the experiences I've had over the years.
Wow.
Well, let's start the interview. What inspired you to write this book?
Well, somebody once told me that they said, wow, you have such a wealth of information inside of you. Why don't you share that with people? And you've got so many good stories. Why don't you put them together in a book? And as I went along, I wrote journals over the years, and I'm glad that I kept those because I said, hey, I've got a lot of great stories people might not only want to hear just from the entertainment value, but also from the learning experience and some of the mistakes that I made. And I thought, well, maybe I can keep people from making those same mistakes and then grow. If they're looking for wealth, then try not to make the mistakes I did. So that was kind of the impetus behind doing this book, is to help other people and to tell my story, to entertain them, and to hopefully share knowledge with the world.
Amazing. Can you tell us about your book?
Yeah, so the book is called Money Switch, Flip Yourself on to Happiness, Health, and Wealth. And the idea behind this book is, so I talked about all my experiences, and over that time, I developed a 6-step process. And that process is designed to help people take control of their finances, build their health and wealth, and get on with living the life of their dreams, and being able to do that without having to stop everything in their lives, overturn their lives, take time away from their families, friends, and other commitments. So that book is 5 steps, and they're not, although this is geared toward finances and improving your finances and building wealth, it is not a book about finances per se. It's all the things that I've ever learned over the years that made me successful. And I share those and show you how you can weave them into your life.
Excellent.
Awesome. What are your top 3 priorities in life?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. But as I get older, I guess the thing is health is number one, because I learned, and as a cancer survivor, I had cancer back in 2000 and the year 2000, and been a long-term cancer survivor. You learn that priorities, you have nothing unless you have your health. So that's number one, is my priority. As I get older too, the relationships with people matter more. I was really driven early on in my career to just excel and do more than, whatever I could do to be rich. But I realize now it's about family and friends, building, reconnecting with friends and family, and, making the best with that. And then the third thing is a little bit different for me. And I have a commitment to learn something new every day. At least one thing. I have to learn something. And if I come to the end of the day, I open a book and learn something new. It's that to expand my knowledge and to, just do this continuous learning. So that's my third priority.
Wonderful.
What are the habits that lead to your success?
Well, this is part of why I think I was successful. No one ever knows for sure, but I think the big thing is stick with something, being consistent, believing in yourself. And when somebody tells you no, you just go ahead and move forward anyway. Because I had a lot of people early in my career that said, who do you think you are? You can't do this. And I just said, okay, sure. And I kept going. So I think that's it, is being consistent and believe. If you don't believe in yourself, you'll never go anywhere. So believe in yourself, and surround yourself with people that will help you maintain that. Mm-hmm.
Yes, great. Do you know that we tend to become those who we would admire? Who do you admire the most?
Well, I've studied him for years and years. I'd love to be on his stage someday, but it's definitely Tony Robbins. And for your audiences, I'm sure many of the people in your audience know who Tony Robbins is. He's a motivational speaker. I've seen him live. In the early days, I had cassette tapes, for those of you that are old enough to remember cassette tapes, but I would play those. I had every book he had. But, the thing that I loved about Tony, and I didn't bring this up earlier, but I'm also a resilience coach because of my experiences and setbacks and things I've been through. I became a resilience coach in part because of Tony, and I help people get through hardships in their life, not necessarily financial, but struggling with, especially during this season with the epidemic and all. But he has such an innate ability the reason I love Tony is he interrupts people's patterns, and he takes their negative behaviors and frees them from their limiting beliefs, essentially. And, the thing is that he shares his humble stories, and I'm not sure if you've seen he's got some pretty powerful videos. And of course, he makes me cry when I see those, but he learns from the perspective of a resilience coach. I see how he's just a master at showing people not only how to survive pain and disappointment and setbacks in life, but how to thrive in spite of them.
Amazing. Wow. Anita, what keeps you awake at night?
Well, I sort of laugh at this one, but caffeine. I'm a big coffee drinker. So I've made some transitions in my life, and I'm not going to say that I don't have worries that keep me up at night. I think the big one that bothers me is, where the situations in the world from a bigger perspective, and people just being nice to each other. I know there's so much turmoil in people's lives that a lot of times it's easier to be mean and nasty to somebody. I see it on a daily basis on the roads here. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. So, if you guys know where that is, there's a lot we have our insurance rates, our car insurance is extremely high for the amount of vehicle accidents. And so I guess what keeps me up at night is if people could just be nicer to each other and understanding and knowing that everybody is going through difficult times, and just treat people with a little bit more sincerity and niceness. But you see so much of that not going on when it would actually be easier to be nice to people. So I sometimes wonder about that.
Wonderful.
Interesting. What advice would you give to someone starting out?
Yeah. So I think the thing is, the first thing, and I talk about this in my book, is a lot of people say, oh, I want to do so much in life. But they think they have goals for life, and that's going to get them somewhere. I think it requires more than just goals, but a vision of where you're going, because a lot of people have the to-do list of goals for the day, goals for the year, and they've checked these off, and they think that is going to get them somewhere. What you really need is a vision about where your life is going. And in my book, I interviewed a lot of people, and I asked them, tell me the difference between vision and goals. And the ones that could articulate what a vision was, or at least kind of knew what that was and could tell me what their vision was, those people often were a little bit more successful than those that thought just making a list of things and checking them off each day was important. So I think that's the big thing, is for people to have a vision and to clearly know where they're going. And I spend a lot of time in my book talking about how you formulate that.
Yes.
Amazing.
What was something that you had to give up to get where you are today?
Yeah, so I think the big thing is it's a little bit different than giving up something that's material or something that you can pick up. I had to give up the fear of doing things outside my comfort zone. And I can tell you, the first time I did this in a big way is when I decided to join the Navy, and my dad was very much against it. And he tried everything to get me to stay at home. But I went to the United States Naval Academy, and this was the thing. I was driving over the bridge to get there, and I told the cab driver, "Oh, this is what this place looks like." And he looks back at me in the rearview mirror and goes, "Wait a minute, you're going there?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "You ever been there?" And I said, "Nope." And he goes, "Oh boy, are you in for it?" Well, what I think the thing is that same thing is you have to keep going and you have to do things outside your comfort zone. That was way outside my comfort zone. But what I will tell you is if you do things way outside your comfort zone, oftentimes you grow a lot, and that pain of just taking the first step is the biggest pain. You know, it's often called the terror barrier where you just don't get across it. So I think it's the fear of doing things you've never done. Kilimanjaro, I remember I said, "I can't do that. I've got health issues. I can't do that." And the guide said, "I had an 87-year-old lady that went up there. She got more health issues than you do." And so I just said, "Okay, I think I can do this." He said, "It's 39 miles uphill, one step at a time." And so I think that answers your question. Just getting past your fears.
Brilliant.
Excellent. What is the story behind your success?
Perseverance and being stubborn. I just keep going. And I have this motto of, if you don't know what you're doing, show up anyway and look like you know, and people will follow you. I was in a hardware store in the United States. They're Home Depots. They're big hardware stores where you can do it-yourself projects. And I had on a blue shirt and jeans like, I guess, every other worker there. I was not a worker, but I was doing work on I had several real estate rental properties. And I would say, someone would say, "Where's such and such? Aisle such and such, aisle such and such." And somebody walked up to me and said, where is this? And I said, "I have no idea." And he just muttered something and said, "Oh, incompetence. You don't know what you don't know." And I said, "Sir, I don't work here." And he's like, "Oh, what you look like you knew, that you look like you did, and you look like you know what you're doing." And I realized way back then, that was in my early 20s, people will tend to follow you. Some of the times you have no idea what you're doing, but you show up anyway. I remember when I interviewed for corporate, when I was selling my business to corporate, and they said, "Well, what's your next step?" I said, "We'll do this, this, and this." And they said, "Are you making that up?" I said, "Absolutely." And they laughed because they thought I was joking. You just take command and just move forward and act at what you know, like you're doing, and people will follow you, to a point, I guess. Mm-hmm.
Yes, awesome.
What mistake have you made along the way?
You know what? I've made so many mistakes. I don't know that there's one big one, but what I can tell you is my attitude about mistakes. Sorry about that. This phone. Anyway, they can be the world's best teachers. In fact, I use mistakes as teachers. And if you can, some people never learn from their mistakes and they repeat them and repeat them. But I think that's the big thing is I have so many, but I also look and say, what can I take away from this? And if you can do that, and it's like that, writing a book, it's like, wow, I wrote a whole chapter and it's junk. What did I do wrong? How can I move forward with this? So yeah, that's I guess the best answer I have for that one.
Wonderful.
Yeah. What did you have for breakfast today?
Let's see. I had yogurt with some fruit, let's see, what was that? Oh, raspberries, blueberries, and then I had a cup of coffee. I grind the coffee by hand. It's wonderful. And so that was my morning breakfast. So I got lots of caffeine in me this morning.
Awesome.
Okay.
If you could start all over again, what would you do differently?
Oh my goodness. I've thought about this often because I remember when I was like 5 years old, and one of the things in the 1950s before I was born is my parents I was the youngest child of 4, and they bought Encyclopedia Britannica, which was little bitty print, outdated information. And you think about, and that was my window on the world. That, and we had a black and white television, and we lived way out in the middle of the country. And so we didn't have the luxuries, and we had this antenna to get the other television channel. We had to literally turn the antenna physically to get the other station. So I watched news and stuff like that. I guess the thing is, wow, if I had access that the kids today have, and if they realized how fortunate they were, the stuff that I was wanting to know about life and the future, it's at our fingertips today. And I guess that's the thing is to be able to have access to more knowledge. My parents did the best that they can, but on a limited income, we didn't have the means to send me all over. Some of my classmates had rich parents, and they went on, trips around the world and stuff. But that's the thing is, find other ways to get more information and get stuff that's current. I guess that, maybe live in today's world of the internet. That's, other than that, I think I'm glad that I got the experience. I grew up in the family I did. It set me up for, being strong and doing the things that I eventually achieved.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Anita, how do you push through your worst times?
Well, do we have time for a short story?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So before the pandemic happened, a year before that, in February of 2019, I was working out on a treadmill. And by that, the next morning, I was in the intensive care unit in a hospital fighting for my life. It was a very weird thing, but they thought I got some kind of virus from a cruise. And then it turned into sepsis, which is blood, like acidic blood poisoning. And I nearly died. And I think the thing is that I learned from that experience, and of course I was a cancer survivor for over 20 years, is you look at the situation, and people have asked me this, well, what you do at your darkest hours? Because when I was sick in that hospital, the doctor told me, you may not wake up. We're going to put you under, the intubation they did with the pandemic patients. I had a similar thing, but I did not have, it was a year before any of that happened. And I can tell you, I just kept thinking, I'm going to wake up. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to come through that. So part of it is that positive attitude, taking whatever resources and strengths you have inside and pushing through. And that's what I've always done. Just like I was at the Naval Academy and I said, I don't know how I'm going to get through here, but I'm just going to keep trying. And so I think that's the biggest thing. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, I love you. I love you. Wow.
If you would have a words microphone for a few minutes, what would you say to the world?
Yeah, I've thought about this over time. What is the message I'd like to say? And I think it's that, we as human beings have some awesome power to work as a whole planet to make things for the better. And there's so much strife in this world and so much hate and struggle when there really doesn't need to be. And I think if this goes back to what I said earlier, if you could just be nice to one person, even if it's just a random act, and just be nice to a person and just look out for them. One, you'll get rewarded by a smile or maybe a thank you in most cases. And two, if we just all did that and did that once a day, can you imagine what this world would be? So I encourage people, especially in the times we are now, everybody is struggling. Everybody is, having difficult times wherever you are. I just encourage people just to be nicer and to think before they open their mouth and say something, because oftentimes the person that hears it is not where you are and won't take it the way that you meant it if you didn't mean it badly. And I think it's important that we try to be kinder and nicer to each other.
Yes.
Amazing.
Anita, how did you extend or expand your paradigms or belief to fulfill your dreams?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, sorry, I get kind of emotional in these things. Because it comes from the heart. This is who I am. It really comes from, yes. So sorry about that, but I get teary sometimes.
No,
and I'm not ashamed of it. It's just who I am. Well, I got to say the biggest thing, how do you expand from where you have to believe in yourself. And even I think some of the things I used to put up a little sign that said believe. And I don't know if you guys get the show called Ted Lasso. It's popular, but Ted Lasso is this American guy that goes to Great Britain, and he is coaching a football team, but his version is American football. So he's out of his element. But I think the thing he has in this show, and maybe people will see this, but he has a sign that says believe, and people would go by and hit that sign as they would go out of the locker room. I think that's what you have to have in yourself, is to believe, because if you don't believe, then who else is, you have to start. You have to be your cheering section to start with. And that's why I love these podcasts, because I think we all have, in some respects, a common goal, but we're each other's cheerleaders out here and saying, go for it, go for it. We're spreading the word of here's what you can do. Here's how you're able to grasp that power of feeling and growing rich. Part of that is just having, that community and having people around you that support you. So believing in yourself and having people around you that believe in is so, so important.
Yes, this is great.
Amazing. How can people find you?
Well, I have a website that is currently being expanded. I do have www.theswitchcoach.com is the website where if you want to get a free download of my book, Money Switch, you can go there. My website, full expanded website, is due to be up sometime in late January, early February. So if somebody wants to go and see that, you can see. I'm hoping that we'll also have the ability to put this podcast up on that site for people that want to see it and want to share in this. So let's see if there's and my book is also on Amazon. So if anybody wants to get a Kindle version of my book, it's on Amazon currently. That's the digital version only. Mm-hmm.
This is great. Thank you. Thank you for the interview.
It's my pleasure. Anytime.
Thank you. Bye.
Hey, bye.
Bye. Bye.